wonderful last week. Staff, and I think we're headed in a positive direction led by our HR team. So kudos to them.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So we'll go to our first and only agenda item.
The agenda item is the Amnesty Day Pilot Chipper Program, and this item will be presented by the Streets Department.
You ready? Good evening, Mayor Avery, Council. Good evening.
I think you may have to speak in the mic so that
Can you hear me?
You have to speak directly into it so folks
Yeah.
online can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Okay. Giving him a chance to load the PowerPoint. All right. Thank you. Good evening once again. I am here this evening to speak with you about the Amnesty Day Pilot Chipper Program. As most of you know, in previous years, the city street department has been responsible for picking up all of the bulk items, yard debris, and the limbs. This was initially to be a courtesy, sorry, 1 second there. It's not clicking. There we go. Do it again. This was initially to be a courtesy to the citizens to help them discard of items that they were having difficulty discarding. This service eventually became a bit overwhelming for the streets department to the point where we were unable to do some of the daily tasks that we were focused on because we were spending more time picking up bulk items and debris. After further conversations with our sanitation department, we realized that this service was a part of their contract the entire time. So effective June 1st of 2021, those services went back to GFL for them to take sole responsibility for picking up bulk items, debris, and limbs. Sorry. Okay. Go back. There you go. So currently, the city holds an annual cleanup day, which takes place in April. It is our Amnesty Day where we allow citizens to bring to the Howell Avenue location all of their bulk items, tires, paints, oils, any debris that they may discard of. We allow a location for them to do that free of charge. We currently are going to start moving towards having this service take place twice a year. This will be our first year that we are offering the Fall Amnesty Day, which will take place October 21st and 22nd of this year, which is a Friday and Saturday. Same thing will apply. We will collect those same items that we have been taking in the fall. I'm sorry, in the spring. We will allow them to discard of those items in the fall as well. Also, this year, the street department will be taking over the shred program, which takes place in the fall and spring as well. It takes place on a Saturday, the 21st of October, here at City Hall between the hours of 9 and 2 to allow our citizens the opportunity to discard of those items that they need to have shredded. So to better assist our citizens, we are implementing the chipper program. As many of you are aware, the city used to have the chipper truck just go around randomly and pick up those items. But since that service is now a service of GFL, sometimes it falls short, and we have a little area where we can kind of improve in that. So with that in mind, we wanted to introduce the pilot chipper program. This program will allow the city of Fairburn on those Amnesty Days, which is 2 days in the spring, 2 days in the fall, to have citizens sign up and register to be a part of our chipper program. Sorry, y'all. How it works. So this year, with Amnesty Day falling on a Friday and a Saturday, citizens will have the opportunity to register by calling into the street department to be placed on a list. To start out, we're trying to do 20 households per day. Once you call in, you will receive an email confirmation letting you know that we have received your registration to be placed on the chipper program list. On October 17th through the 19th, the street department will send out an email as well as place a door hanger so that citizens know that their address has been selected for the chipper program. On the day of the chipping, which will be the 21st and 22nd, on the 20th, we'll go and put a yard sign identifying that home as an applicant and a participant in the first annual chipper program. This will also aid our drivers in identifying the homes that are part of the program. While doing so, we will also make certain that we are identifying homes that have limbs and debris out that were not a part of the program, with the intent that on Saturday, when we finish all that we have that have registered, that we can still circle back and obtain the limbs and debris for those homes that did not register. And for a number of reasons, that could be because they're waiting on GFL to come pick those up, or they just didn't know that they had to register, as it is a pilot program. On October 24th, the following Monday, we will send out a follow-up email thanking those citizens for participating in the first annual chipper program. And then we'll assess with Ms. Chris and gauge on how well the program worked to see if in the future we can maybe offer this service on a quarterly basis. Any questions?
Go ahead, Ms. Davis.
Yes, what day can the citizens register? again?
Citizens can start registering this week, Monday through Friday.
Okay, this week. Now,
Councilman Davis, we'll post that on social media and all our various platforms.
Okay.
Try to get that information out to as many citizens as possible.
great. Now, everybody register will get the chipper thing, or are they selected, or what? Because I got a little confused about having the information put on their doorknobs or whatever. So is it, if you register, you get the service, is that it?
We're hoping that's the case. We're hoping to do at least 40 homes within
Okay.
this program, at least 20 per day, at a minimum, because it takes anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes to do one chipping if they're putting those out in the stacks and the specifications that we're requiring. So we didn't want to put the driver and the people chipping in a hurry up and get it done type of situation. So for those that are not on the list, we're still going to circle back and get those as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
And I had a good question I have is as it relates to trying to make sure that, let's just say, I'm just gonna use one subdivision, Ashbury Park. In this case, if I've got, my goal is to make sure that at least out of 40 people, we're in different parts of the city. And the reason why is because several subdivisions, and I can just say, actually, one segment of Durham Lakes is actually kill all 40 right off the bat. Or two different, I can think of two subdivisions on Plantation Road. My whole goal was just simply trying to figure out, and again, that may have not been thought that far out, but my goal would be if I have a pilot, what's the goal to make sure we're in different parts of the city, if that's possible.
Well, so the basic concept of this, Mayor, is essentially first come, first served. What we don't want to do is put the staff in a position of picking and choosing who's going to be serviced and who's not,
Yeah.
because that's not manageable.
Yeah.
And so there's a limited capacity over those 2 days to how many customers we can physically get to. So we don't want to overpromise and tell everybody who signs up that, because this is our first effort at bringing back some type of chipper service. And what we don't want to do is overcommit and have 100 people sign up, because physically,
Yeah.
it just could not get to that many people in a single day. And so we're going to make it clear that it is on a first-come, first-served basis, so that, as Ms. Higgs was just explaining, it takes a certain amount of time just to physically chip at each house and then move to the next one. And so that limit, we believe, is about 40 in a day. And then they'll circle back and try to get as many as they can. If this goes well, which we anticipate it will, then we'll look to see budgetarily, can we budget for a second chipper so that when we have these amnesty days, we can have them more frequently. And if we had 2 chippers instead of 1, that 40 turns into 80. Now, some of that is also connects to the number of staff people that we have to go out and circle those routes as well. So we want to grow this program. This is really a pilot effort to see how well it works, what our citizen response is, and based on that, we can decide how best to move forward.
Okay. You had another question, go ahead.
Yes. In our messaging, will that be clearly stated that only first come, first basis, and only 40 homes?
Yes,
I will-
ma'am.
yes.
It is identified in the flyers as well.
Okay, all right.
And
That was the
also,
flyer up there? that last thing we saw?
Yes, the flyer is included in the packet. And I will also say, Mayor, that once we get the list compiled, we're going to try to identify each area of where those homes are so that we can be most efficient with collecting the debris so that we're not jumping all over the place, and that will help me identify which areas that we have hit.
Okay.
That is the flyer that will be go out. We'll send this to you on email so that you as council members will have it as
I
well.
got a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been in things like this, whether it was registering my child for something or not. So if this flyer is between the 10th and 18th, and that's the number, is there a time when that opens up?
Well, of course, we're here 9 to 5, but if they leave a message, we're time stamping each
Okay,
call so
all
that
right.
we know that we're doing those on a first call
All right,
basis.
gotcha.
Okay, good.
Does anyone else have a question about the chipper program? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
City Manager, did you have anything else you wanted to bring before?
I just wanted to provide, Mayor, if it's okay, a brief update on the Campbell County Courthouse.
I think we need to.
So we have completed the initial phase with both the fire marshal's investigation and the insurance adjuster. And so they've released the facility. And so we've had a engineering assessment that has initiated. They've done an initial walkthrough of the facility, but we are still pending having our vendor that is removing a lot of the debris from the fire from the facility. And so once that completes and that cleanup process is done, the engineer will be able to make a more complete assessment. So we're now into the phase where we are having a structural assessment of that facility conducted by a professional engineer. It started, it has not completed, and as soon as that completes, then that will inform whether or not the building can be rehabilitated. And then from there, there are several other pending steps to come. Depending on that answer, then there are several other questions that then would flow from that answer.
And then before I come to council, would you rather wait, or is this removal of debris, does that also include the asbestos, or is that another whole different stage?
Yes, and I'm getting ahead. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith, coming to rescue me.
I mean,
Sir.
We're a team. So your question one more time, Mr. Mayor, you were saying?
yeah, I guess I was just trying to make sure, and I hope I didn't get ahead of them. I was trying to figure out when you talked about the removal to make the assessment, wasn't there's a lot of asbestos that we talked about that had to be removed from that building? Is that not true?
Yes, sir. So the debris removal includes asbestos abatement and some lead removal from the walls and the joints and compounds. When we remove the asbestos and the lead, then that same company remove some of the debris from the fire, which is impeding the structural assessment.
Okay. Does anyone have a question as it relates to, I just want to make sure I was clear on that tactical area.
Maybe just
Go ahead, sir.
a question to help me understand, because building and all that is not my area, so
Yes, sir.
asbestos, I hear about it. What is it actually?
So asbestos, in a quick technical synopsis, asbestos was a material that was used a lot or very frequently back in the early 1900s, late 1800s for insulation, in some of the compounds for the joints, and even wallpaper, drywall, paint sometimes, and even especially in attics of buildings. It is a great job at what it was doing as an insulator and sometimes fire retardant, but as a lot of things in mankind, after some time went on, we realized that while it had great properties in some building applications, it was carcinogenic to humans. So that's why you see now in the last several decades it being a big factor, and to remove it and to test for it, because once you disturb it and becomes airborne, it can contribute to certain lung and respiratory diseases and cancers.
Did we ever determine what caused the fire?
I believe I don't want to say we, I believe the investigators did determine that. The official report is being transmitted over to the city, but the insurance company and the state investigator and the local fire marshal ruled out any type of arson or criminal activity. So from what we believe happened from the reconstruction is that very much seems to be a lightning strike, that lightning can smolder for a while, and it appears from the burn patterns that that's what happened, and that smoldering fire fell and caught fire on the second floor, and then that engulfed the second floor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't it actually have two fires? Oh, one was put out and then it flared back up again.
But you said it correctly. You can consider that two or a restarting of the first. The fire department put it out initially. There was a fire watch, thanks, Chief, and then overnight it restarted.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, there was a second fire. Buildings that old, you have fire and embers getting in cracks and crevices. That fire was a difficult one to put out for the guys, but they did well. But yeah, it was technically a recount, yes.
Okay, all right, well, thank you.
Chief, that's the purpose of the fire watch, correct?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question as relates to Old Camel County? Okay. Thank you, sir. Seeing none, Mr. City Minister, unless you have anything else, we'll adjourn at 7 o'clock.
No, sir.
Okay. Bathroom break, water break, whatever you need to do.
I did that before I came.
There you go.
Messing with y'all.
Okay. I think it's possible we can move these things down. I am really cramped up in here.
Yeah, I didn't even have.
Why are you so cramped? You been exercising?
These things right here.